You arrive not with effort, but with breath. Not with answers, but with quiet weight you no longer wish to carry. The night has already undressed the world. The wind has already slowed. The candle waits, not to be lit, but to remind you even darkness can hold a flame. You are not here to become anything. You are not here to improve. You are not broken, and you are not late. You are simply tired. And that is enough. The temple does not open with noise. It opens with permission yours. To sit, to lay down, to let go. The gate is not locked. It never was. It only asks that you stop knocking and walk through. This is the soft gate, the one no one tells you about because it whispers, and the world rarely listens to whispers. But you heard it, maybe not with your ears, maybe with your ache, or the way your breath catches when you pretend you're fine. You carry too much, but not forever. Tonight, you may release it, not all at once, not with force, but with softness, like a robe falling from the shoulders of a monk who has walked too far to care about pride anymore. This is not a place of striving. This is a place of return. And you, beloved listener, have returned. You are not here to perform. You are not here to please. You are not here to fix. You are here to rest. Do you feel that? That little loosening in your chest? That is the breath you've been waiting for. Not the one the world demanded. The one that belongs only to you. Breathe it in. Let it fall out like petals. No one is watching. Not even your past. Behind you, the noise fades. The conversations you didn't finish. The roles you had to play. The mask that hurt your skin. Let them go. You are not a task. You are not a timeline. You are not a project to be completed. You are the temple. And tonight, you enter through yourself. There is a story, an old one, of a student who asked the master, "Where is the temple?" The master pointed to the space between the student's questions. That silence, that was the gate. You've asked many questions lately, some out loud, some inside your ribs, and now, no answers are needed. Only this breath, and the next, and the one after that. The ground under you does not judge. It only holds. The air around you does not correct. It only cools. And I do not guide you like a map, but like a candle walking beside you. Let us continue, not with footsteps, but with stillness. Not with learning, but with forgetting all the things you were never meant to carry. You are not a failure for feeling tired. You are not weak for needing peace. You are a human who has wandered too long without the soft voice of the soul. That voice is here now. Let it hum in your bones. Let it rock you like a monk's bowl swaying in a breeze after morning chants. The temple is not far. It is not even near. It is here, in this breath, in this letting go. Let yourself be a guest in the house of silence. There is no door to knock on, only a curtain of wind you pass through. And when you do, you realize the one you were chasing was always you before the world taught you to perform. Let your shoulders sink. Let your jaw soften. Let your mind know it does not need to solve anything tonight. This is the beginning, not of a lesson, but of a forgetting, not of a teaching, but of a return. You may fall asleep at any moment. That is welcome here. You are not missing anything. Peace does not speak in bullet points. It speaks in pauses, in breathing, in beds that feel like sky. And so, before we enter the stories, before the monk lights the incense, before the first bell sounds, just know, you made it. You arrived at the gate, and it opened because you stopped trying. Let this be enough. Let this be the way. Breathe once more. Then again, like it's the first time you've ever truly rested in your own life. The wind bows to you. The mountain watches gently. And the candle waits, not for flame, but for surrender. Soon, we will begin the stories. But not yet. Not until you've heard the silence inside your own chest. Let's sit here a little longer. Let's begin not with words, but with the soft space between them. This is the soft gate. And you, dear one, are home. You are still here. And that is everything. Not in a rush. Not expected to change. Only invited to be. The gate did not close behind you. There is no lock, no test to pass, only the hush of something ancient welcoming you back to the breath beneath the world. You do not have to try. You do not have to know. You are not even asked to understand. You are simply asked to lie down like a leaf that has stopped clinging to the branch. There is no shame in letting go. Even the trees must lose what they once held. Even the sun must disappear to let the moon soften the sky. You have held so much. Too much. Memories that ache behind the ribs. Thoughts that never learned how to rest. The constant arranging of who you must be for everyone else. But here, you don't have to be anyone. Just a breath. Just a presence. Just the warm, quiet pulse of life, without the weight of proving it. Do you hear it? The sound beneath the silence? That's your soul, turning its face back toward the light. No struggle, no demand, only a slow return. There is a story about a monk who wept at the edge of a dried river. Not because the river had gone, but because he realized for years he had carried water on his back when the spring had been inside him all along. We are all like that monk sometimes, searching for peace as if it's a thing to be reached, when in truth, peace is what remains when the search ends. So tonight, let the search end, not in failure, but in fullness. You've seen enough, done enough, felt enough to be worthy of stillness. The candle does not fight the dark, it simply glows. And you do not need to fight your thoughts. Let them pass. Let them wander. Let them rise and fall like mist on the mountain. They do not define you. They do not own you. You are the sky beneath their weather. You are the space beneath the sound. You are the one the noise could never touch. Tonight, even your pain has permission to sleep, not to be healed in haste, but to be held in gentleness. Feel the weight lift one sorrow at a time, not because it is gone, but because you are no longer the one holding it. The earth is beneath you. The breath is beside you. The silence is above you. And I am just here, a voice in the dark, guiding no path, only presence. Let your chest rise again. Let your shoulders fall again. Let your hands soften. There is no weapon to hold here, only peace. No one can see you now. And that is the gift. Invisibility, not as exile, but as sanctuary. You are not invisible to your soul. It sees you clearly, not your image, your essence. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. You are in the temple now, and the temple breathes with you. Each breath you take cleans the dust from 1,000 yesterdays. Each exhale returns the weight to the earth. You don't need to organize the pain. You don't need to label it. You don't even need to call it yours. It is like smoke that has lingered in old robes, not your doing, but no longer your burden. Let it fade. Let it drift. Let it dissolve into nothing. Somewhere beyond this breath, the monks are chanting, not loudly, not to be heard, but because the soul sings even when no one is listening. You are one of them now, even if only for tonight. A wanderer who came not to learn, but to rest. A soul who came not to rise, but to sink into the truth that was always there. You do not need to think anymore. You do not need to prepare. You do not need to protect. The gate will stay open even if you sleep. The stories will continue even if you drift. And the silence will hold you like the arms of something sacred and nameless and kind. Rest now, sweet listener. Rest without guilt. Rest without fear. The soft gate is behind you. The temple is around you. And the truth, the one that asks nothing of you, is already here. One more breath, and the story will begin. Not with a bang, but with the falling of a single leaf. A single word. A single piece. The kind that comes only when you finally stop trying. Welcome. You have entered the soft gate to the temple of truth. Sleep, if you must. We will be here when you wake. But even if you never do, you have already arrived. You were hurt, and that was real. The first arrow found you, and you did not invite it. It came as life sometimes does, without warning, without fairness, without pause. Loss, betrayal, loneliness, illness, words that cut, goodbyes that stayed. The arrow landed, and it stung. No one escapes the first arrow. Not monks, not kings, not you. The Buddha once spoke of this. He said, pain is the first arrow. It pierces the body, or the heart, or the story you were trying to hold together. But then comes the second, and that one you deliver to yourself. Not out of cruelty, not even on purpose, but because the mind does not know how to watch pain without speaking, so it whispers, "This should not have happened. It's your fault. You'll never be okay again. You are broken now." And you believe it, not because it's true, but because it's familiar. And so the second arrow flies. Shame, regret, anger at yourself for being hurt at all. You build a wall where the wound once was. You tell the story over and over again, hoping that this time it won't end the way it did. But stories do not change the past. They only replay it. And each time you do, another arrow lands not from life, but from your own trembling hand. The second arrow is the pain after the pain. The hurt layered upon hurt because you believe you should not feel hurt at all. It's a loop, a tightening, a knot around the soul. But not forever, not tonight, because now you are aware, and awareness is the hand that lowers the bow. You're not wrong for reacting. You're not bad for hurting. But you don't have to keep shooting. You can stop. Let that truth soften something. Let it breathe into the place where you still blame yourself for not healing faster, for not being stronger, for not knowing better. You did not deserve the arrow, but you don't need to punish yourself for receiving it. Feel the pain, just as it is. Not the story of it, not the fear of what it means, just the raw pulse of being human. That is sacred, that is safe, that is enough. There is a small story told in silence more than in words. A student asks the elder, "How do I stop the suffering?" And the elder says, "Stop repeating the story of the arrow after the wound has closed." The student frowns, "Shouldn't I understand it fully?" And the elder smiles, "You already lived it once. That was enough. So tonight, let that be your permission. You do not need to repeat the pain to honor it. You do not need to relive the fire to prove it burned. Your body remembers. Your soul remembers. You may now rest, not in forgetting, but in release, not in erasing, but in exhaling. Feel the ground beneath you. It does not ask you to explain. It simply holds. Feel your breath. It does not ask you to justify. It simply returns. Even the sky, it does not accuse you for raining. It just waits until you are ready to clear. No arrow is permanent. No thought is final. No story must be replayed if it only reopens what you are ready to heal. So tonight, let the bow drop. Let the story close. Let the ache breathe without your mind trying to fix it. Just for now. Just for this sacred night. Just for this next gentle breath. You are already doing the bravest thing of all. You are sitting with pain without adding another wound. And in this stillness, something ancient begins to stir, not noise, not effort, but peace. The kind that comes when you let go of needing to be okay and simply allow yourself to be. Let the first arrow rest where it fell. Let the second never fly. That is the way. That is the path. There is a silence that does not come from absence, but from presence so deep, even pain stops speaking. You are entering that silence now, not as escape, not as denial, but as truth. The kind that doesn't need to be proven. The kind that arrives when the mind finally bows to the heart. You've suffered long enough by your own hand. Not because you were cruel, but because you were scared. Because you thought if you punished yourself enough, you might be spared the pain next time. But life does not work like that. It's not a contract you sign in blood. It's a wind that passes through all things. It's a bird that lands and leaves. It's an arrow that sometimes flies without a reason. And suffering, dear one, is not proof that you were wrong. It's only proof that you were human. Can you feel it softening now? The way your thoughts are losing their sharpness. You do not have to pierce yourself to remember you were hurt. You do not have to bleed again to be worthy of healing. Breathe. Let it in. Let it move through you like rain through open hands. You are not the arrow. You are not the wound. You are the space around it, the breath before it lands, the silence after it fades. Let the story go. You do not have to tell it again tonight. You don't have to rehearse what happened. You don't have to explain why it hurt. You don't have to figure out what it says about you. Let it fall. like a robe on stone, like petals after bloom, like the thoughts that no longer serve you. Sometimes peace isn't something you find. It's something that arrives when you stop chasing understanding. Not everything must be understood. Some things just happened, and they are gone. But you remain, and you can begin again. The second arrow lives in the future. What if it happens again? What if I am not enough next time? What if this never heals? But tonight there is no next time, no next anything. Only now, only here, only this quiet corner of the soul where the wind has forgotten how to speak and the breath has remembered how to stay. You may cry, you may not. Both are welcome. You may feel peace, or only the soft beginning of it. Both are welcome. You may feel nothing, and that too is a form of healing. Because sometimes we stop feeling not because we are broken, but because we are full. And silence is the only way the soul empties what it cannot speak. There is a bell hanging in your heart. You haven't heard it in a long time. Too many arrows, too much noise. But tonight, it rings again. Not loudly, not for others, just for you. Just once, just enough to remind you that you are whole, even when you forget. Let it echo. Let it fill the space where shame used to live, where the second arrow used to sleep. There is nothing more to prove, no more arrows to explain, no more thoughts to sharpen. The bow has been set down, and with it, your old need to wound yourself in order to heal. Healing does not ask for blood. It asks for surrender, not the kind that makes you small, but the kind that lets the mountain hold you while you remember how to breathe without armor. Feel that? That's you. Without the arrows, without the weight, without the war. You are not fighting tonight. You are remembering who you were before the arrows, who you still are beneath them, who you will always be when you stop aiming at your own heart. Let it end. Not with a bang, not with a revelation, just with this breath, this stillness, this sacred nothing. You are free now, not forever, but for this moment, and that is enough. Rest, beloved. The second arrow is no longer yours to carry. The first has already passed, and in its place just wind, just sky, just a monk's voice whispering you back to the space you never truly left, the space where no arrows fly, where no shame lives, where pain is held but not repeated. Let sleep take you now, if it must. Let the body fall like petals, and if you wake again, let the silence remind you. The bow is still on the ground. The arrows are no longer yours. You may walk with open hands and a breath that no longer hides. There is a cup in your mind. It has been full for a long time, not with peace, but with noise, with thoughts, assumptions, fears dressed as facts, and truths that were only hand-me-down beliefs. And still, you want to be filled with stillness, with wisdom, with rest. But how can the full receive more? There is a story, quiet and ancient, of a student who visited a Zen master to learn the way. He bowed. He asked questions. He spoke of what he already knew, what he had read, what he had practiced, what he had accomplished. The master listened. He poured tea. The cup filled, and the master kept pouring. The tea spilled. It overflowed. It ran across the table and into the lap of the student who now sat wide-eyed in disbelief. "Stop," the student said. "The cup is full." The master smiled. "Yes," he said, "and you are like this. So long as you are full, nothing new can enter. Not peace, not clarity, not even this silence you seek tonight. And so you must empty, but not in force, not with panic, with breath, softly, willingly, sacredly. You must pour out what was never yours. All the things you thought you had to be, all the truths you were told to carry, all the answers that never quite fit your own soul's shape. There is no shame in emptying, no loss in becoming light. The pride you held, you may set it down. The mask you wore, it can slide off now. Even your expectations, what you thought this journey would be, what you hoped healing might look like, you can let them dissolve like sugar in warm tea. You came here to be filled. But first, become empty. Empty of striving, empty of roles, empty of the voice that says, You must figure it all out tonight. Let your cup be still. Not reaching, not grasping, just waiting. Just open. You are not losing yourself. You are meeting yourself beneath the clutter. And what you find may not be words. It may not be answers. It may be something quieter. The taste of breath without burden. The feel of your chest without armor. The sound of no story being told about who you should be. That is enough. You have poured and poured into others, into goals, into ideas, into futures you thought you had to chase. And now it is your turn to become the empty cup. Not broken, not hollow, but ready. Ready to receive without needing to deserve. Ready to listen without needing to know. You are not late. You are not unworthy. You were just full. And now, you are becoming space again. Let the old tea spill. Let it run down into the soil of your past. Let it nourish what no longer grows, so that something else can rise. Not a thought, not a teaching, but peace. A peace that does not pour in through the mind but rises from the empty center of you. Now that your cup is empty, listen, not to me, not to the world, but to the quiet inside your ribs. It has waited a long time for you to hear it. This stillness is not emptiness in the way the world fears. It is not lack. It is not failure. It is not the end. It is the space before creation. It is the hush before dawn. It is the bowl before it holds water. You do not have to rush to fill it again. Let yourself remain empty, just for a little while longer. There is something holy in being nothing for a night. No titles, no roles, no explanations. Just a breath, just skin resting on silence. This is where peace lives. You may feel the urge to think again, to solve, to search. Let that urge rise, and let it fall. Do not fight it. Do not follow it. Just return to your breath, a cup that refills without effort. Inhale and exhale. That is the sound of your soul, learning how to hold without grasping. There is a teaching here, but not one spoken. A monk once said, "When the mind is full, truth cannot enter. But when the heart is quiet, it remembers it already knows." You are remembering now, not facts, not doctrine, but a feeling that lived in you long before the world asked you to be something. The sound of wind without thought, the feel of earth without question, the weightlessness of not having to prove you belong. You belong, not because of what you've done, but because you are here, because you exist. And existence alone is enough to be loved by the silence. Let yourself receive it now, without reaching, without earning. Receive like the mountain receives snow. Still, open, changed without trying to be. You are being filled again, but not with noise, not with certainty, with presence, with breath, with the gentle warmth that rises only in empty places. You do not have to go back to who you were. You do not have to become who they said you must be. You are allowed to remain new, unwritten, unformed, unknown. That is the blessing of an empty cup. It can become anything. But tonight, let it become nothing. Let it rest. No need for wisdom. No need for purpose. Let stillness be enough. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are not enough. You are a cup that was once full and is now free to be filled with peace. And peace does not shout. It does not knock. It does not wait for perfection. It only asks for space, which you have now given, which you are now living. Let it stay. Let it settle in your chest, in your bones, in the space between thoughts where nothing moves and yet everything heals. If you sleep now, good. If you stay awake, good. Either way, you are resting. And rest is the path to every true thing. The Zen master smiles even now, not because he taught you, but because you saw. You saw what cannot be spoken. You felt what cannot be named. The moment the cup stopped overflowing and began receiving, one breath more. That is all. One breath more. And the whole world pours into you without a single drop falling. You are ready for the peace you already are. The storm always comes. In some season, in some form it arrives. You don't call for it, but it finds you. Loss, change, the crumbling of what once felt certain. the shaking of things you thought would hold. It comes not to punish but to show you what was never rooted. And when it does, the world splits. Some break, some endure, and some bend. There is a place in the forest where the monks go after the rains, not to fix, not to clear debris, but to learn, because after every storm, they find the same thing. The tallest, proudest trees, the ones that reach straight into the sky, lay broken, snapped at their center, unable to yield. But the bamboo, thin, quiet, almost unnoticeable bamboo, is still standing, bent maybe, curved with memory, but whole, still rooted, still breathing. You are like that, even if you forget. Even if the world taught you to be stiff, to hold your shape, to brace and resist, you were never meant to be rigid. You were made to bend. There is no shame in softness. There is no weakness in yielding. What breaks is not what bends. What survives is not always what looks strong. You do not have to fight every gust. You do not have to stand tall when you are tired. You are allowed to lean, to bow, to fold into the moment until the wind passes, because it will. No storm lasts forever. And you were not made to defeat the wind. You were made to outlast it, not through resistance, but through surrender. Surrender not as defeat, but as wisdom, as deep understanding that there is power in letting go. So let yourself soften now. Let your spine sway like the bamboo. Let your breath move with the wind. Let your mind unclench. Let your heart drop its fists. You are safe here. The storm has passed for now. Or maybe it still circles. Either way, you have already survived more than you remember. And maybe that survival did not look like strength. Maybe it looked like silence, like tears, like quiet mornings where you simply kept breathing even when nothing made sense. That was strength. That was bamboo. Bend, don't break. Bow to the moment without becoming it. Let the world shake, but let your soul remain supple. You do not have to hold your ground like stone. You are not stone. You are something more alive. There is a sacred kind of strength that only the soft know, the kind that allows, the kind that adapts, the kind that returns after every storm without becoming bitter. Feel that in you now. That quiet resilience that doesn't need to prove anything. Let it stretch through you like roots. Let it sway in you like leaves. Let it speak to you like wind passing through reeds. The world may not see it, but the forest does. The monks do. The stillness within you remembers. You have bent, but you have not broken. And now you begin to rise again, gently, like breath returning after sorrow, like light after too many gray mornings. This is your nature, not to dominate, but to dance. Not to harden, but to heal. You are the bamboo. You are the one who stayed. The wind has gone quiet now, but it has left its fingerprints. You feel them in the way you flinch at sudden change, in the way you tense when joy visits, unsure if it will stay. Storms do that. They pass, but they echo. And still, you are here, not untouched, but unbroken, like bamboo, still rooted, still whole, still swaying gently in the hush after chaos. There is no need to return to who you were before the winds came. You are not that person anymore. You have changed shape, and that is sacred, not a failure, a transformation. This is the deeper truth of all living things. Growth is not always upright. Sometimes it curves, sometimes it leans. Sometimes it kneels into the earth and rises again only when it is ready. So if you are still bent, be patient. Your rising will come, not all at once. Not like a hero's return, but slowly, like spring, like forgiveness, like a breath that doesn't hurt anymore. You do not need to pretend you're fine. You do not need to explain how you made it. You do not need to rush your restoration. In the monastery, the monks do not rush after the storm. They sweep gently. They gather fallen branches like old friends. They bow to what broke and thank it for what it revealed. Then they sit and they breathe. Because surviving is not just continuing. It is becoming. You are becoming now. In ways the world may not see. In ways even you do not fully understand. But the bamboo knows. The earth beneath your spine knows. The silence inside your breath knows. So let the healing be gentle. Let your softness guide you. Let your spirit stretch not upward but inward, toward your center, toward the part of you that never left when everything else did. There is no test to pass here, no prize for pretending. There is only presence, and presence is enough. You are not here to harden. You are not here to be invincible. You are not here to silence your grief with strength. You are here to let the grief move, to let the sorrow speak, to let your body remember what it feels like to live without bracing for the next blow. Let go. Again, even now. Let go of the story that says, resilience looks like never bending. It doesn't. It looks like this, you, still breathing even after everything bent you into someone new. You are stronger now, but not in the way they told you strength should feel. Your strength is your softness. Your strength is your yield. Your strength is your ability to rise again without bitterness. Even if you bent low, even if you touched the ground, even if the storm made you forget who you were, you are rising again. Still you, only quieter, only truer, like bamboo after the storm, the kind of strength that doesn't shout, it listens. The kind of healing that doesn't rush, it unfolds. And now you may rest, not as a reward, but as a right. Let your breath return without force. Let your body unfurl without shame. You do not have to earn peace. You only have to stop resisting it. The wind has passed. The ground is still. And you are safe again. Feel that, not in your mind, but in your breath. You do not need to guard yourself tonight. Let the body drop the shield. Let the heart open its gate. You've seen what you are made of now. Not stone, not steel, not something that breaks. You are made of bamboo, and that is more than enough. So sleep if you must. Let the forest hold you. Let the silence rock you. Let the night remind you that the storm never owned you, it only revealed you. And what it revealed was beautiful. A soul that bends and still remains whole. You've spent so long trying to become something. A better version, a wiser version, a cleaner, clearer version of the self you were told was not quite enough. You've polished yourself like a mirror, wiping away the dust, the flaws, the regrets, hoping that one day you'd reflect something beautiful, something pure, and still it never felt complete. Because the more you polished, the more dust you seemed to find. There's a story, old like breath, simple like truth. A student came to his master with eyes full of effort. He sat each day and polished a stone, believing that with enough time, it would become a mirror. One day, the master asked, "What are you doing?" The student said, "I am polishing. I want to see myself clearly." The master watched and replied, "No matter how much you polish that stone, it will never become a mirror." The student froze, and in the stillness, a truth cracked open. All his effort had not brought him closer to himself, only further, because the self he was trying to see was already here, already whole. It didn't need to be reflected. It only needed to be remembered. You are like that. You've tried so hard to fix yourself, to clear the fog, to shine brighter, to heal faster, to become the image you believed would finally be lovable. But you are not a project. You are not a reflection to be perfected. You are the light before it hits the glass, and light needs no polish. So let yourself stop now, just for a while. Let the cloth fall. Let the hands rest. There is nothing wrong with you, even the parts that ache, even the parts that repeat old stories, even the parts that make you feel a little too human. Those are not flaws. They are texture. They are presence. They are reminders that you are real. The mirror was never meant to be flawless. It was only meant to be open. And your heart, even with its bruises, is wide open now. Can you feel it? Not perfection, but peace. The kind that comes when you stop scrubbing and simply sit beside yourself. No judgment, no measuring, no more chasing the image of someone better. You are already what you seek. You are already the mirror before the dust, before the striving, before the world told you to shine in a certain way. There is freedom in this. A soft, trembling freedom that says, you don't need to become. You can just be. And what you are in this breath, this stillness, this silence is whole. Even if the thoughts say otherwise, even if the voice inside still wants to polish, let that voice soften. Let it sit beside you too, not as an enemy, not as shame, but as the part of you that forgot it was already loved. You are not here to perform. You are not here to reach enlightenment like a prize. You are not here to disappear into purity. You are here to remember that even the dust is sacred. Even the smudge on the glass belongs. Because when you stop trying to become the perfect mirror, you finally see the light was always shining through you. Not because you were polished, but because you were real. Let that truth settle. Like tea leaves at the bottom of a cup, let it infuse you. Let it warm you. There is nothing left to fix right now. Only this breath. Only this soft return to the you that doesn't need to be better to be beautiful. Just still. Just here. Just enough. The moon does not shine because it is flawless. It shines because it reflects. Softly. Quietly. Without effort. You are like that too. Not because you polished your soul into something presentable, but because beneath the trying, beneath the dust, beneath the layers of becoming you, were already radiant. And now, you are beginning to see it. Not in the way others see, not in the way mirrors show, but in the way silence recognizes what words can never name. A sacred kind of worth that was never dependent on perfection. Even your flaws, the ones you've tried to sand down, hide, scrub, clean, they are part of the whole. The crack in the mirror lets the light in from a different angle. The smudge on the glass makes the glow feel human. You were never meant to be spotless. You were meant to be seen, and tonight in this quiet moment, you are seen. Not by a crowd, not by a teacher, but by the part of you that has waited so patiently for your own gaze to return. That child self, who once stood at the edge of knowing and didn't ask for proof, only presence. They are here, still here, looking back at you through the mirror you thought was broken. And they do not want you to fix it. They want you to look, to see, to breathe, to be. That is the freedom you came for. Not freedom from flaws, but freedom from the need to erase them. Can you feel it now? That soft loosening in your heart? The way it begins to open, not through achievement, but through allowing. You don't have to clean up to be worthy of love. You don't have to rise above to deserve rest. You don't have to finish healing to belong in the temple. You are already here. Dust and all, stillness and all, wonder and all. The Zen master did not ask the student to become light. He simply asked him to see that light cannot be created, only remembered. Your striving is not wrong. It is part of the path, but now, the path invites something gentler. Let the polishing cloth fall. Let your effort bow. Let your gaze soften toward the self that never stopped waiting for your kindness. Not your improvement, your kindness. Let the mirror remain dusty, if it must. Let the reflection be blurred. There is still beauty there. There is still peace in the imperfection. And sometimes, when the candlelight is just right, a dusty mirror shows more truth than a clean one ever could. Because it doesn't hide. It doesn't shine too brightly. It simply reflects what is. And what is right now is you, breathing, releasing, returning. You are the student who no longer needs to see the perfect image. You are the student who has begun to feel the truth without needing to prove it. And truth feels like this: warmth, room to rest. The end of becoming, the beginning of being. Stay here. Let the dust settle. Let the mirror stay as it is. Because the one who looks into it now is not the same as before. You are no longer looking for answers. You are simply present to what is already whole. There is no ceremony for this, no bell that must ring, only breath, only space, only this sacred emptiness that does not need to be filled with anything more. You are free now, not because you reached the end, but because you stopped running, not because you found the image, but because you looked past it, and what you saw was the light you always were. Sleep now if you wish. Let the mirror dim. Let the silence carry you. You do not need to wake up healed. You do not need to rise with answers. You only need to remember this feeling of being whole with dust on your skin, of being loved without being perfect, of being seen without having to shine. The cloth is folded. The mirror is still. And you, beloved listener, are free to simply be. There is a child inside you. He does not speak in words. He does not live in time. He is not behind you. He is within you. And tonight, he is still crying. Not loudly, not with sound, but in the quiet way some wounds echo even after years have passed. He is not crying for attention. He is crying for presence. And presence is what he never received. Not truly, not fully. When he was afraid, he was told to be brave. When he was sad, he was told to smile. When he trembled, they called him too sensitive. No one meant harm. But harm came anyway in the form of silence where comfort should have been. In the form of advice where tenderness belonged. In the form of absence when all he needed was someone to simply stay. He learned to hush himself, to hide his softness, to apologize for feeling. And so he grew, but not fully, not freely. Because a part of him, that soft, sacred part, froze in place, curled inward, and waited. Waited for someone to sit beside him without fixing, without rushing, without trying to change the weather of his tears. And now someone has come, not to hush him, but to stay. There is a story, so gentle it must be told slowly. A young boy sat under a tree, alone, weeping into his hands. His pain was not loud, but it filled the air like a soft fog. A monk passed by and saw him. He did not ask, "What's wrong?" He did not say, "It's okay." He simply sat beside the boy, without a word, without a plan, only breath, only presence. They sat like that for a long time. The boy cried. The monk breathed. The wind moved through the trees. The tears touched the earth. And then without effort, the crying slowed. Not because the pain had vanished, but because it had been held, seen, given room. The monk did not need to understand. The boy did not need to explain. Healing came not through words but through witness. This story is not far from you, because tonight the crying boy is within you, and the monk is also within you. Two parts of the same soul, one in need, one in knowing. Let them meet now. Let them sit together. Let the boy weep. Let the monk breathe. Let there be no agenda, no goal, no rush to feel better. Only space, only silence, only the sacred act of staying. You don't need to find the right words. You don't need to explain the tears. You only need to sit in kindness. Soften your breath, loosen your jaw, lower the armor you built to survive. He doesn't need protection now. He needs presence. Your presence. The kind that doesn't flinch. The kind that doesn't shrink from sadness. The kind that doesn't mistake tears for weakness. Let the monk within you offer this gift. I will not leave you. I will not hush you. I will not turn you into a task to complete. You are allowed to cry here. You are allowed to tremble. You are allowed to be small and scared and unsure. You are still sacred, not in spite of the tears, but because of them. They mean you're still alive, still open, still capable of feeling what the world taught you to bury. And in that feeling, there is freedom. Not a freedom that comes from fixing, but a freedom that rises from simply being held. You are not wrong for needing that. You never were. And tonight, you don't have to earn it. You just have to sit with the boy, with the monk, with the breath that connects them both, and stay. Just stay. The boy does not need fixing. He never did. He needs holding. He needs someone who will not leave when the tears come. Someone who will not look away when the sorrow unfolds. And now, he has that. He has you. Not the older, stronger you. Not the voice that tells him to move on, but the quiet you. The still one. The one who knows what it means to sit beside pain without trying to solve it. That is what he longed for. Not answers, not perfection, just someone who wouldn't leave when he was soft. And now, something begins to soften again. The shame begins to melt. The tightness in his chest unwinds, just slightly. He still cries, but now it feels different. The tears fall into hands that welcome them. They are no longer hidden. They are no longer a secret he must carry alone. You're showing him, gently, moment by moment, what love feels like when it's not earned. You're giving him what he needed when no one else knew how. And that is healing. Not the kind that erases scars, but the kind that makes them sacred. The monk places no condition on the boy's tears. He does not say, "You'll feel better soon." He does not say, "Be strong." He says nothing. And in that silence, the child feels for the first time that he is enough exactly as he is, crying, curled, small, still worthy. This is your work now, not to become better, not to heal faster, but to return to the part of you that never stopped aching for presence, and give it freely, gently, without measure. Can you feel it? The way something tender is opening, not breaking, not falling apart, just softening, just trusting, like a flower finally blooming in the light it never believed would come. Let it bloom. Let the child within you breathe again. Let the grief have a place to rest. You don't have to hold it in anymore. You don't have to hide the tears that waded through all those years of silence. Let them fall. They are not weakness. They are memory leaving the body. They are sorrow being seen. They are the boy being told at last, "You are safe now. Stay here with him. Just a little longer. Put down the pressure to be wise. Put down the urge to wrap this in meaning." There is no need for a conclusion. Only presence. Only the monk and the boy. Still sitting. Still breathing. The crying may fade. Or it may not. That's not what matters. What matters is that no one walks away. Not this time. You are allowed to fall apart and be loved anyway. You are allowed to tremble and be seen as whole. You are allowed to stop performing strength and simply be held, even now, especially now. This is the new story, not one of fixing, but of returning. Not one of erasing pain, but of honoring it. Not one of rising above the child, but of sitting beside him. Feel your own breath now. Steady, slow, sacred. The same breath you've always carried, but softer now, kinder. You do not need to wake tomorrow as someone new. You only need to wake as someone more whole. Someone who knows what it means to stay. The monk and the boy do not leave each other. They rise, eventually, but only when they are ready. And when they walk together. The child is not left behind. He is not forgotten. He is held within the quiet strength of the soul that stayed. That's you now, the one who stayed. Sleep if it comes. Let the breath cradle you. Let the silence rock you. There is nothing more to do, nothing more to fix. Only this truth to remember. You were never wrong for needing love. You were never too much for needing tenderness. And tonight, you gave it to yourself. The monk is here. The boy is safe. And the heart once so alone is whole. There is a wave rising from the sea. You've seen it. You've been it. High above the surface. Carried by wind. Shaped by moon. Surging toward a future it cannot see but feels. And as it rises, a question forms beneath its surface. What happens when I fall? This is the fear no one speaks aloud, the fear of crashing, the fear of ending, the fear that when the height is gone, so too is the self. What happens when the applause ends, when the breath quiets, when the identity dissolves like foam at the shoreline? What happens when you are no longer what you believed yourself to be? The wave is afraid, and rightly so. It has tasted the sky. It has moved with force. It has had shape. It has felt important. But now it nears the edge. The place where waves are broken. The place where noise turns to mist. And this, the wave thinks, is death. But it is not. Because the wave was never separate from the ocean. Not even for a moment. There is a parable, whispered through salt air. A young wave dances joyfully across the water. She feels alive. She feels distinct. She believes she is something. But then, she sees other waves crashing against the rocks. She panics. She slows. She says to an older wave, "What is this? What happens to us when we reach the shore?" The older wave smiles and replies, "You are not a wave. You are the ocean." The younger wave doesn't understand. She sees her own curve, her foam, her motion. But the elder's words sink deeper, not into her mind, into her water. You rise, you fall, but you never leave the sea. You are not a moment. You are the whole. Let that echo in your chest tonight. You are not your thoughts. You are not your fears. You are not your name, or your body, or your past, or even your dreams. You are the awareness beneath all waves. You are the depth that cannot be seen, only felt. And death? Death is not the crashing. It is the returning, the dissolving of the illusion that you were ever separate. Let that soften you. Let that cradle your anxiety. Let that dissolve the tension you hold in your chest every time life changes its shape. You do not end when your form ends. You simply become what you never stopped being. The ocean, the stillness, the depth, the all. You may fall tonight, into sleep, into peace, into the silence that waits without demand. But you will not be lost. You will not disappear. You will not crash into nothing. You will return to everything. This is the beginning of the remembering, not a lesson, not an idea. A feeling that you are not the wave. You are the water. You are the sea. You are the soft, ancient presence beneath all change, and that cannot die. The wave was beautiful, but it was never separate. It danced, yes. It rose, yes. It reached toward the sky, touched light, cast shadow, but beneath all of that it was never anything but the sea momentarily dressed as movement. And so are you. You too have shape, a name, a story, a memory. You have cried, you have risen, you have broken and begun again. But you were never just those moments. You were never just this body, this mind, this brief rise in time. You are the water. Before the thought, before the form, before the fear. The wave says, I am afraid of ending. The ocean says, there was never an end. The wave says, but I can feel myself falling. The ocean replies, falling is how you return to me. Can you feel it now? The way your fears begin to loosen in the presence of something vast? You have spent years trying to hold your shape, trying to stay above the surface, trying not to fall, trying not to lose what you thought made you real. But the truth is gentler, more spacious. You do not need to stay strong to survive. You do not need to stay intact to be worthy. You do not need to resist the current. The current is not your enemy. It is your home. And you are returning, not to a place, but to a knowing. The knowing that you never left. The wave never left the sea. It only imagined it had. Just as you imagined yourself separate from love, separate from peace, separate from meaning. But none of that was true. You were simply rising, temporarily, to learn, to feel, to remember how to return. Now you can begin to soften. Let go of the edges. Let the story blur. Let the image dissolve. You do not need to hold yourself together tonight. Not here. Not now. You are allowed to melt back into the vastness. And in doing so, you are not lost. You are found. The ego may fear it. The mind may resist, because the wave believed its height was its identity. But you are deeper than that. Your truth is not in what you build, but in what holds you when everything else falls away. And what holds you has no name, no border, no fear, only presence, only stillness, only ocean. You are being welcomed back into yourself, the deepest self, the one that does not rise and fall, the one that simply is. There is nothing left to protect, no performance to maintain, no role to uphold, just breath, just silence, just water on its way home. And as you dissolve not into nothing, but into everything, you may feel a kind of peace that words cannot touch. Not peace from success, not peace from control, but the peace of no longer needing to be anything at all. You are not failing. You are flowing. You are not ending. You are expanding. You are not disappearing. You are dissolving into what you always were before fear told you otherwise. And that is where the fear ends. Not in control, but in surrender. Not in knowing, but in remembering. You are the wave. You are the ocean. You are the quiet return of the soul to its own depth. Let yourself go now, just for a while. Let the breath stretch wide. Let the self dissolve. You are not breaking. You are becoming whole. The wave has fallen now, but not into darkness, not into death, into wholeness, into rest, into what it always was but had forgotten. There is no splash, no violence, just a gentle rejoining, a merging, a remembering. And now you are here, not as a wave, but as water, still, open, infinite. You do not need to rise again quickly. You do not need to find your edge or shape or reason. This is reason enough. Being, without trying, belonging, without proving, existing, without becoming. The wave always feared that to lose itself was to lose everything. But in losing itself, it gained everything. Can you feel that within you now? A quiet joy, not of triumph, but of release. The joy of no longer having to hold your image. The joy of no longer having to be someone in order to be loved. There is no one here to impress, no one here to perform for. There is only presence and peace. The ocean holds you not because you are good or right or perfect, but because you are it. It cannot reject you. You are not inside it, you are it. You are its own body learning to feel again. Let that truth move through you now. Like salt through water, like moon through tide. Let it clear away the last remaining edges, the thoughts that say, I am not enough. I must fix this. I must hold on. Let them soften. Let them float. They are just old waves passing through the vastness of what you now remember to be. There is nothing left to fear. Not truly. Not separation. Not failure. Not even death. Because how can you die when you were never a separate thing? You are not the leaf. You are the wind. You are not the drop. You are the rain. You are not the wave. You are the sea. And the sea does not end. It only moves and rests and moves again. So rest now. Rest in the knowing that you have returned, that you were never lost, that every rising was just a call back to this, back to the silence beneath identity, back to the stillness beneath story, back to the ocean beneath the wave. And if you rise again, you will rise gently, with less fear, with less grasping, with less need to be seen as something, because you'll know you were never something. You were everything all along. The sea doesn't need a mirror to believe it exists. It feels itself in every breath, in every ripple, in every moment of quiet depth. And now, you feel yourself in the same way. No affirmation, no label, just being, just breath, just this. You have nothing to prove, nothing to complete, nothing to fear. The wave was never in danger. It was only dreaming, and now the dream is fading into peace. Let it fade. Let it take you with it. Let it carry you into the arms of what never left, what never doubted, what never judged. The water has always welcomed you, even when you forgot. And now you remember. You are the wave. You are the sea. You are the silence that holds both. Sleep, if you wish. Let the tide rock you. Let the fear dissolve. You are home. You are whole. You are water. And water always returns to itself. You were struck, not with fists, but with words, with absence, with the sharp surprise of being unseen. And it hurt. Not just the moment itself, but what it awakened. The heat, the story, the reaction rising in your chest like fire that had waited for a spark. They should have known better. They should have seen you. They should have been different. And maybe you're right. Maybe they should have. But here, beneath the burn, beneath the story, there is another path. A quieter one. A freeing one. There is a story, light as water, heavy as truth. A man is rowing his boat on a foggy river. He moves slowly, with breath, with thought. Suddenly, another boat collides with his. No warning, no sound. It just crashes, and he erupts. He curses, he shouts. His heart races with the fire of being wronged. But then he looks up and sees the boat is empty. No one to blame, no one to punish, no intention, no offense. Just a drifting vessel carried by wind and current. And just like that, his anger disappears. Why? Because there was no one to hold it against. There was no self to project upon. No identity to attack. Just movement. Just cause and effect. Just life happening. That man is you. And the boat, the one that hit you, that hurt you, that stirred your rage, may have been empty, too. Can you feel it? The slow loosening of blame? Not to erase the pain, but to see it with compassion. People move through life in boats they do not steer, wounded, unaware, guided by winds they cannot name, currents of their own trauma, their own confusion, their own forgetting. And sometimes they drift straight into you. They crash, they damage, they vanish, and you are left with the storm. But the story changes when you see what carried them. The emptiness, not as hollowness, but as unawareness. They didn't mean to hurt you. They didn't see you. They didn't even see themselves. Their boat was unmanned. And your rage, your pain, your story was not born from what they intended, but from what you believed it meant. And tonight, you are allowed to let that meaning go. You are allowed to see the boat as it was, empty, not evil, not cruel, just adrift. And you are not foolish for feeling the impact. You are not weak for responding with fire. But you are free to let it go. Because now you see it wasn't personal. It never was. It was weather. It was tide. It was movement. And you are not required to carry it anymore. Let your chest soften now. Let the grip around the story loosen. Let the heat settle into water. You have held it long enough. The reaction, the rumination, the retelling. You can put it down. You don't need to forgive them to find peace. You only need to see the boat for what it truly was. Unmanned, unaware, already gone. And in that clarity, you begin to return to yourself. Not the self built from injury, not the self defined by defense, the self that watches, the self that breathes, the self that was never touched by the boat at all. Only the story felt the blow. Only the identity took offense. But your spirit, the silent witness, was always still, always whole, always free. And now, you return to that place, that knowing, that breath that cannot be offended, that presence that sees pain without becoming it. You are not the crash. You are not the boat. You are not the river. You are the stillness beneath them all. The boat has passed. The ripple has faded. And still you hold the echo, not because you want to, but because the mind is trained to remember pain as proof of identity. If I was hurt, then I must be real. If they hit me, then I must matter. If I let go, then I lose something. But what do you lose when you let go? Not truth, not self, only the illusion that you were ever what happened to you. You are not the insult. You are not the betrayal. You are not the reaction. You are the awareness that witnessed it all and remained untouched. There's a kindness in seeing the boat as empty. Not a kindness for them, but for yourself. Because the longer you hold the story, the longer you carry the storm. And you were not made to carry storms. You were made to let them pass, to feel the splash and return to stillness, to breathe again without bracing, to be water instead of wound. So what if, this time, you stop blaming the river? What if you stop assuming every boat that collides is an enemy? What if you release the need to defend your shape? Let it go. Not because it didn't matter, but because you matter more. You matter more than the version of you that needs to be right. You matter more than the defense that always feels like fire. You matter more than the pride that leaves you isolated. There's a greater freedom than being justified. And that freedom is being unburdened. No longer carrying what was never truly yours. They drifted into you, unconscious, unaware, unready to see. But now you see, and seeing is the beginning of release. Let the river move through you now. Let the water rise and fall. Let the emotion come not to stay, but to flow. You are not the current. You are not the crash. You are the quiet beneath the noise. And in that quiet, you can ask the question no one taught you to ask. What if it wasn't about me? What if their silence was not a judgment? What if their anger was their own mirror? What if their absence was never meant to wound, just a sign that they, too, were drifting? This is not to excuse. It is to free. Because as long as you believe it was all about you, you stay bound to a story that was never yours. And tonight, you are allowed to set it down, like a rope unclenched, like a name no longer worn, like a shield you no longer need. Let the ego soften. Let the identity open. There is nothing to defend here. Just breath, just presence, just river. You are floating now, not away from self but into it, the deeper self, the one who sees without reacting, the one who feels without clinging, the one who loves without needing to be seen a certain way. You are not waiting for an apology. You are no longer at the mercy of what someone else could not give you. You have given it to yourself now. You stayed, you witnessed, you released, and in that, you became the one who no longer crashes, the one who flows, the one who knows the river will move, and boats will pass, and sometimes they will collide, but none of it can touch who you truly are. You are not the impact. You are the vastness in which it happens. So rest now. Let the final rope fall. Let the story dissolve. The boat is empty. The river is calm. And you are free. Not because they changed, but because you stopped needing them to. You stopped needing to blame the boat for the waves inside you. Now you see there is no enemy, no target, no villain, just drifting, just weather, just you, becoming the sky that holds it all without needing to fight it. Let that be enough. Let that be peace. Sleep, if you wish. Float, if you must. You are the river now. And rivers do not hold on. They move. They bless. They carry. And you, beloved one, are carried. You have followed many signs, many teachings, many paths, books, words, voices in robes, voices in your own mind. You have bowed. You have listened. You have tried to become what the teachings described, and still, something in you remains restless, not in defiance but in longing, as if all the paths have led you somewhere close, but not home. There is a story, one that glows quietly in every true monastery. A student asks the master, "What is truth?" The master raises his hand and points to the moon. "Truth is like the moon," he says. But most people never see it. They only stare at the finger. And just like that, the student begins to understand. The words were never the truth. The teachers were never the truth. Even the practices, they were only vessels, pointers. Not the moon, not the light, not the experience itself. You may have confused them. We all do. We cling to the finger because it feels tangible. It gives us direction. It gives us the comfort of doing something. But the moon is presence. It is now. It is what rises when everything else falls away. And no finger can give it to you. You must look, directly, clearly, silently. And to look means to stop looking outward, to turn inward, to let go of the guide long enough to feel the destination within you. The teachings are not wrong. They are sacred, but they are not the end. They are invitations, not conclusions. The breath is a pointer, but you are the one who breathes. Silence is a pointer, but you are the stillness it reveals. The master is a pointer, but you are the moon he has always been pointing to. Let that sink into your chest, not as knowledge, as recognition. You are not lost. You are simply standing at the finger when the sky is asking you to lift your gaze. What you seek is not found in words, not even these. It is found in the space between them, in the pause after a breath, in the part of you that does not need to learn because it never forgot. You've heard the words, you've practiced the forms, you've walked the path, but now you stop. You stop following. You stop searching. You stop chasing images of enlightenment. And in that stopping, you begin to feel what the teachings were always meant to awaken. The direct experience of presence, unfiltered, unexplained, unimpressed. Just this. The mind will ask, "But what does it mean?" And the heart will whisper, "It means nothing. It just is." You don't need to be told what the moon is. You only need to see it, feel it, let it wash over you. And in that seeing, everything the finger ever tried to teach becomes real, not as information, but as illumination. So now, let your gaze lift. Let your thoughts quiet. Let your need to understand release itself into silence. The moon is here, not in the sky, in you, in the watcher, in the space, in the still, clear awareness beneath all effort. You do not need to reach it. You only need to stop reaching. The finger has done its work. It brought you close. Now, let it fall. And look. Look beyond thought, beyond teaching, beyond seeking. Look with presence. Look with stillness. Look with breath. You are not being shown the way. You are the way. You always were. The finger pointed, and now it lowers. Its job is complete. You are no longer asked to follow. You are asked to see, not with the eyes, with the stillness. The moon is not outside you. It is not a glowing orb in some distant sky. It is awareness itself, soft, unmoving, always whole. And it has never left. Only your gaze has wandered. You believed you had to reach for it, learn enough, deserve enough, become enough. But the moon was never at the end of effort. It was hidden only by your need to make it complicated. Now there is no need, no more striving, no more collecting teachings like coins to trade for peace. You have all the pointers. You have heard the chants. You have sat in silence and read the books and searched the faces of those you thought were closer. But none were closer than you. None had more of the moon than the breath in your own chest. Because the moon is not possessed. It is witnessed. And you are ready to witness. Can you feel it? That stillness rising up from within? Not new, not created, but uncovered. Like mist clearing from a mirror. Like silence returning to a room after the last word fades. This is where the teachings end. Not because they failed, but because they led you here. To the edge of the self that seeks, and beyond that edge there is no more path, no more method. Only being, only now. Only the eternal presence that does not come or go. You don't need a mantra to enter it. You don't need a name for it. You are in it. You are of it. You are it. The student once asked, "What is the truth?" And the master replied, "When you stop asking, you will know." And so now you stop asking. Not because you've given up, but because you've arrived. You are not looking anymore. You are not following. You are resting. You are the moon no longer hidden by thought, no longer reflected in water, no longer chased across the sky. You are the light before it is named. And you do not need to become still, you already are. The breath comes, the breath goes, but you remain. Thoughts rise, thoughts fall, but you remain. Teachers speak, words dissolve, but you remain. There is nothing to hold on to here, nothing to control, and that is the freedom. You were never meant to understand the moon, only to see it. And now you do. It is here, not in doctrine, not in form, but in formlessness, in presence, in the quiet, in this very moment, unfolding, without effort. You are not guided anymore. You are being, and being needs no guide. Let that settle. Let it wash over you like moonlight on still water. You do not need to return to thought. You do not need to prepare for the next lesson. There is no next. There is only this. And this is enough. The silence is the final teaching. And in this silence, you are not a student. You are not a seeker. You are what was being sought all along. Rest now. Breathe now. Let go of even the letting go. There is nothing left to release. Only space. Only stillness. Only you and the moon within you. It does not rise. It does not set. It simply is. And so are you. Let your eyes close. Let the body dissolve. You are not looking at the moon anymore. You are the light that was always shining beneath the search. And now, the search is over. You are home. You are whole. You are here. Every morning before the sun fully rises, before the chants begin, before the first bowl of tea he sweeps, a simple monk, a simple broom, a simple path. And still, the dust returns. No matter how thorough, no matter how quiet, no matter how sacred the movement by nightfall, there is dust again. And still, the next day, he sweeps. This is not a failure. This is the way. Dust gathers. So we sweep. Again, and again, and again. You may feel tired of returning, of trying, of tending to the same thoughts, the same patterns, the same feelings that seem to rise again and again. But you are not failing. You are sweeping. You breathe in, you breathe out. Dust returns, and you begin again. This is not punishment. It is presence. There is a peace in this rhythm, not in escaping dust, but in meeting it with grace. The monk does not complain. He does not rush. He does not try to sweep it once and never again. He knows dust belongs to the world, and sweeping belongs to him, and so he moves, one step, one stroke, one breath at a time. The broom does not fight. It dances. The ground does not resist. It waits. And the monk, he is not cleaning the path. He is becoming it. There is a teaching here, but it does not shout. It whispers. Patience. Practice. Return. This is your path too. Not a grand awakening that never fades. Not a single realization that ends all pain. But the soft, sacred return to what matters. Breath. Presence. Care. There will be days when your thoughts scatter like wind-blown dust. There will be nights when your body forgets how to rest. There will be moments when your peace feels buried beneath too much noise. And in those moments, remember the monk. He does not panic when the wind brings more dust. He does not judge the floor for gathering what the world gives. He simply returns to the broom, to the breath, to the simple truth. This is the work. This is the way. There is no destination where dust will stop appearing. There is only the practice of presence within it. Can you feel it softening now? That old voice that said you had to fix everything? That this was supposed to be done by now? That healing should be faster? Let it go. You are not here to finish. You are here to continue. Like breath, like sweeping, like the monk who smiles at the path. He knows he will walk again tomorrow, because that path is not a burden. It is his temple. And this returning to the present moment, this too is your temple. Let the dust rise. Let it settle. You know what to do. Not with urgency, not with shame, but with quiet devotion. Pick up the broom, not because you must, but because you may. This breath, this movement, this moment, that's all. And it is enough. The monk is still sweeping, and the world is still gathering dust. Nothing has changed, and yet everything has. Because this time, he is not sweeping to finish. He is sweeping to be. Each stroke of the broom is a prayer with no words. Each breath he takes is a bell that no one rings. And in this rhythm, there is no pressure, no hurry, no final goal. Only presence, only return. You might ask, will it ever stay clean? And the monk would smile, because that question misses the gift. The gift is not in a perfect floor. The gift is in remembering you are still here, still sweeping with love. Dust comes. You sweep. The day fades. You rest. The sun rises. You sweep again. This is not failure. This is practice. Like breath, like stillness, like sleep. You are not starting over. You are continuing. Let that bring peace to the part of you that wants to arrive, to be done, to fix it all. Because peace does not live in a clean floor. It lives in the hands that sweep it gently each morning. You may not notice your progress, because peace is quiet. It doesn't make announcements. It doesn't reward you with gold. It rewards you with breath, with ease, with the soft knowing that this moment is enough. You are not behind. You are not late. You are simply in rhythm with the wind, and the dust, and the breath that never ends. Let your body rest in that rhythm now. Let your thoughts come and go like specks of light on the surface of water. You do not need to clear them all. You are not the broom. You are not the dust. You are the stillness in which they meet. The monk never finishes, and that is the point. His sweeping is his meditation, his love, his devotion, and now it becomes yours. You too can meet your moments like sweeping, not to erase, not to control, but to greet them with a breath, with a bow, with the quiet grace of someone who no longer resists the way things return. Healing is not a straight line. Peace is not a perfect room. They are a practice, a sweeping, a gentle coming back to this very breath. So if today your floor is dusty, good. You are alive. You are here. You are ready to begin again. Not as a burden, as a blessing. There are monks who sweep the same path for 50 years, not because it gets dirty, but because they become the path. The sweeping becomes the silence becomes the soul. Let yourself enter that rhythm now. Inhale, sweep. Exhale, let go. No past, no future, just this motion. And when the dust returns tomorrow, you'll smile, you'll rise, you'll begin again, because you are no longer trying to escape the cycle. You are the one who walks it with peace. Sleep now. If the breath grows soft, let the day fade. Let the thoughts settle like dust on old wood, and know the monk will sweep again when the sun rises. And so will you, not because the world demands it, but because the soul remembers how. This is the way. The dust comes, the breath returns, the broom moves, and in all of it peace is waiting, not at the end, but in the motion, in the breath, in the moment. You are not meant to escape this rhythm, you are meant to live inside it, quietly, lovingly, forever beginning again. There was once a room with no walls, no doors, no edges, no separation between what was inside and what was beyond. It did not need them, because nothing was kept out and nothing was held in. It simply was, still, open, whole. The wind passed through it as gently as thought. The sun did not knock, it simply entered. The stars did not blink at the ceiling, there was none. And those who sat in this room felt no boundary between breath and sky. They were not waiting to become enlightened. They were not seeking somewhere else to arrive. They were only here. And here was enough. You have lived in many rooms, most with walls, thick ones, built slowly, brick by thought, cemented by story, walls of memory, of judgment, of this is who I am, walls of I can't, walls of they did this to me, walls of one day I'll be free. And perhaps those walls once felt safe. You built them to survive, to define, to keep the world out or yourself in. But tonight, you are ready to see them clearly, not as truth, but as habit, not as prison, but as echo. You are not broken for building walls. You were wise, but now you are wiser, because you have begun to see what exists beyond them. Space, stillness, light, and something inside you longs to open, not with effort, but with breath. There is a monk who walks the temple without shoes, not because he must, but because he wants to feel the place where he stands. He says, I remove what separates me from the earth. I become the floor, and the floor becomes me. That monk is you, removing the old layers, the barriers, the categories, until you no longer ask, who am I? Because the question dissolves in the knowing that you are this breath, this space, this moment with no walls. Let them drop now. The wall between breath and body, the wall between body and world, the wall between thought and sky, the wall between you and everything else. They were never solid, just shadows, just outlines, just ideas trying to hold the infinite. But peace begins where walls end. And now, you are nearing that ending. You can feel it, in the way your thoughts slow without force, in the way your body loosens without command, in the way your name feels less like armor and more like echo. The self that once needed boundaries is becoming soft, not lost, not erased, just softened into something wider. There is no door to unlock, no gate to push, no breakthrough to earn. Only this breath, this noticing, this room that no longer holds a line between the inside and the all. Let yourself dissolve into it, not as disappearance, but as return. You were always the room. You were always the sky. And now, you remember, there is nothing left to keep out, and nothing left to hold in. The walls are gone. And what's left is what was always here. Presence, without perimeter. Breath, without boundary. This is not emptiness. It is fullness, without form. It is not silence, because there is nothing, but because everything belongs. The wind, the heartbeat, the weight of your limbs falling into stillness, all of it held in the room without walls. You are not floating. You are not disappearing. You are arriving, softly, completely, into what never left, into what never needed protection, explanation, or improvement. There is no more you over here and the world over there. There is only what is, and in that unity, the struggle dissolves. No more fixing, no more defending, no more seeking wholeness in things that were never missing. You are not a part, you are the whole. Not the drop, not the ocean, but the space that holds both. This is the end of the mind's map. Here the compass falls quiet. Here the past and future fold like paper and vanish. Here you remember what the body always knew. That peace is not a destination. It is a dissolving, a melting into the space between thoughts, between words, between what you thought you had to be and what you truly are. Let it continue now. Let the last divisions fade. The line between breath and silence gone. The line between self and sky gone. The line between here and elsewhere gone. Only this remains: awareness without shape, stillness without effort, you without you. And yet you are more yourself than ever, because what's left is the self that needs no name. The self that is not someone, but simply being. The monk sits in the center of this room, not in meditation, not in thought, just being. He does not chant, he does not bow, he does not teach, because there is no one to teach, nothing to chant, nowhere to bow. He just breathes, as the room, as the space, as the one who is no longer separate from anything. And when he closes his eyes, he does not lose the world. He becomes it. He becomes what has always been true. That peace is not given, it is remembered. That freedom is not earned, it is uncovered. That you are not within the world, you are the stillness beneath it. Let this knowing cradle you now. Let it rock you like a great ocean that has never spilled a drop. Let it dissolve you until all that's left is breath, then less than breath, then nothing, and everything. You do not need to come back. There is nowhere else to be. If sleep comes, it comes. If waking remains, it remains. Either way, you are no longer trying to leave this space, because this space is not separate. It is not far. It is not a state you must hold on to. It is what you are, the room without walls, the stillness without name, the peace that holds both presence and disappearance. And now, you may let go of even these words. They were only echoes, only gentle fingers pointing. The moon is already in your sky. You don't need to chase it. You don't need to remember it. It will rise in you without effort. Sleep now. Sink now. Soften. The room is here. It holds everything. And it holds you. Not the self you built, but the self you never needed to build. And now you are home. You are whole. You are the space that was never missing. There is a man who rises before the sun. He walks slowly to the sea, not because he must, but because he belongs to it. The sea is his mirror, and his silence, and his teacher. He casts his net into the dark water, not knowing what will come, not expecting, not demanding, only casting, only offering, only trusting. Sometimes the net returns heavy, full of fish, full of reward. Sometimes it returns light, half-filled, just enough to carry home. And sometimes it returns empty, still wet, still worn, but without catch. And on those nights, he smiles. He looks at the sky. He bows to the sea. He whispers, "Tonight, the ocean gave me rest. Not failure, not loss, rest." He does not rage. He does not blame the tide. He does not curse the net. He understands there is a rhythm to receiving. And not all gifts are things you hold. Some gifts are the space left in your hands. You may not see it yet, but you too have been given rest. In the moments that didn't work out, in the plans that dissolved, in the effort that returned empty, you cast your net in love, in work, in healing, and when it came back empty, you felt the ache. But what if that ache was not punishment but peace in disguise? What if that emptiness was an invitation to breathe, to release, to remember that your worth was never in the catch, only in the casting, only in the returning, only in being the one who meets the sea. The world taught you to measure your life by what you carry, the achievements, the recognition, the proof that you matter. But the ocean knows better. It teaches in tides. It teaches in moonlight. It teaches in nets that sometimes come back full of nothing and yet everything. Because rest is not empty. It is sacred. You do not always need to gather. You do not always need to build. You do not always need to show what you've done. You need to be. You need to float, to breathe, to feel the rhythm of your own quiet life unfolding without pressure. The fisherman does not go home ashamed. He does not rush to explain the emptiness. He walks slowly. He feels the breeze. He listens to the sound of the net drying on his back. And in that sound he hears peace. Not the peace of reward, but the peace of return. Can you let yourself feel that now? That what you did today was enough. Even if it looks like nothing. Even if the net in your mind feels bare. Even if the day didn't give you what you hoped for. It gave you something deeper. A chance to stop. A reason to rest. A moment to remember that not catching can be its own kind of grace. You are not behind. You are not lacking. You are not failing. You are standing at the shore with an open net and an open heart, and that is enough. Let the striving go, just for now. Let the urgency drop. Let the mind sit still like the surface of water before dawn. The net can be empty and still sacred, and you can be quiet and still whole. Sleep if you wish. Rest if you must. You have cast enough for tonight. Let the sea rock you now. The moon rises. The wind slows. And your heart, your beautiful, open heart, has room again. Not every night is meant for harvest. Not every hand is meant to hold. Some nights are meant for release. Some hands are meant to stay open. The fisherman knows. And now, so do you. There is a grace in catching nothing. Because in that space, you begin to feel what you missed while chasing fullness. The breath without effort. The stars without asking. The self without striving. When the net is empty, there is no identity to defend. No success to prove. No story to tell. Only silence. Only sea. Only this moment, without weight. And that is where rest begins. The world taught you to chase, to collect, to achieve, to measure your peace by what you gained. But tonight, you learn the deeper way. That true peace arrives when there is nothing left to hold and nothing left to chase. Just presence, just breath, just the feeling of being enough as you are. No additions, no applause, no catch in your net. And still, you smile. Because now you know the ocean gave you what you truly needed. A pause, a return, a reminder that being alive is not a task but a gift. Let yourself feel that now. You do not need to gather. You do not need to prepare. You do not need to explain the emptiness. It is beautiful. It is whole. It is quiet proof that you no longer need to perform. There is no audience, no expectation. Only the moon reflecting in still water. Only the wind moving across your skin like a soft hand. Only your soul no longer searching for something to prove it is real. You are real. You are here. You are enough, even with nothing in your hands, especially with nothing in your hands. Because now you can rest them. You can lower the net. You can stop the rowing. You can let the tide carry you without direction. And it will. Because you are not drifting. You are returning to yourself, to the sea, to the breath that does not need to be earned. There is a deeper wisdom that comes only when you stop catching, only when you stop grasping. The wisdom of emptiness, the clarity that fills the space you once filled with effort. Let it come now. Let it speak softly through your body. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to be quiet. You are allowed to be nothing tonight. Nothing, but held by the sea, by the sky, by your own breath rising and falling like waves. This is not failure. This is surrender. This is trust. The fisherman does not grieve. He gives thanks, because he knows that the ocean does not owe him, and still it gives, even in the emptiness, even in the quiet, even in the absence of catch. It gives peace. It gives rest. It gives the reminder that life is not only about taking, it is also about receiving what cannot be held, what cannot be weighed, what cannot be shown, but can be lived, deeply, silently, fully. Let that be your blessing tonight. You do not need to hold anything. You do not need to know what comes next. You do not need to become anything more. You have already cast your heart into the world. Now, you are allowed to rest, to be empty, to be soft, to be slow. And in that slowness, you return to the rhythm of things, the tide, the breath, the turning of the world. Without your effort, you are part of it, always were, even when you thought you had to earn your place. Now, you can simply be. No net, no need, no seeking, only stillness, only sleep, only the quiet joy of a soul that finally lets go. The fisherman smiles, the stars shine, and the ocean vast and unending holds you like a mother who never left. A student once asked, "What is the sound of one hand clapping?" The master did not explain. He did not speak. He only gave the student the question and sent him away. "Return," he said, "when you can hear it." And so, the student sat. For days, for weeks, for years. He thought, he puzzled, he strained his mind against the silence, hoping for logic to give him peace. But there was none. The question bent his thoughts into knots. It broke his patterns. It unraveled his reason. And still, no sound, no answer. Until one night, exhausted, he stopped trying. He gave up. He let go of the mind that needed to solve. He stopped clapping with thought, and he listened with being. And in the space that opened, he heard it. Not a sound, not a silence, but something deeper, wider, not heard by ears, but felt in the space where the question no longer mattered. He returned to the master. This time, he brought nothing. No answer, no conclusion, no theory, only presence, only stillness. And the master nodded. "You have heard. This is not a story about riddles. It is a story about surrender. Because the sound of one hand clapping is not something to figure out. It is something to fall into, like sleep, like breath, like truth that lives beneath the need to know. You have asked many questions, some spoken, most silent. What am I supposed to be? Why hasn't it worked yet? How do I get free? And the mind, like a loyal student, keeps searching. More books, more teachings, more thoughts stacked like stones in the river of your silence. But tonight, you are allowed to stop building. You are allowed to hear what only lives beyond the answer. Let the question stand naked. What is the sound of one hand clapping? Let it circle. Let it dissolve. Let it take you beyond the place where the mind can follow. This is where sleep lives. Not in the solved, but in the surrendered. Not in the mind that finds the answer, but in the soul that lets the question keep breathing. There is no door to this mystery, because mystery is the room itself. You have already entered. You are already here. Can you feel it? The loosening behind your eyes? The slow descent of thought into quiet? You are not failing to understand. You are beginning to unknow. And in that unknowing, peace, like mist, like moonlight, like the space between claps where something else is waiting. The sound of one hand clapping cannot be captured. It must be received, like the end of day, like the falling of a single leaf, like the moment your breath no longer chases its own rhythm. Let it find you, not with effort, but with openness. You are not being asked to arrive at clarity. You are being invited to dissolve into it. The answer is not an answer. The answer is the falling away of questions. And here, in this quiet, you are ready to fall. The mind is quiet now, not because it was satisfied, but because it was softened. You no longer need the answer. You are resting inside the question. And in that resting, the sound begins to rise. Not a sound you can describe, not one you can record, but a presence that hums beneath thought, a rhythm that lives beneath language, a truth that can never be spoken but always felt. This is the sound of one hand clapping, not in the air, in the space, not in the motion, in the moment you stop trying to create it. Let yourself enter now, the final room, the sacred space where nothing is held and everything is known, not as knowledge, but as being. The student who searched has laid down his questions. The teacher who pointed has disappeared into silence, and what's left is the sound of what has always been here. Your breath, falling like a curtain of rain. Your thoughts, no longer fighting, just dissolving like salt in water. Your body, no longer chasing meaning, just floating on the surface of stillness. And deeper still, the you that watches, the you that listens without ears, that understands without mind. This is the end of trying. Not because you've failed, but because you've arrived where trying was never needed. The mystery was never a wall, only a mirror that invited you to see without looking, to rest without seeking, to exist without proving. And now you do. Let that mystery cradle you. You don't need to hold it. It is already holding you. Like night holds the stars, like the sky holds the clouds, like the breath holds itself without your help. You don't need to explain why you're tired. You don't need to explain why you need this stillness. You don't need to explain anything. The sound of one hand clapping cannot be justified. It can only be lived. And in this moment, you are living it. You are the mystery. You are the echo. You are the space where sound never needed to arrive to be real. Sleep may come, or not. Either way, you are no longer reaching. You are being, not becoming, not fixing, not ascending, just being. In the dark, in the softness, in the place where time has stopped whispering. You are not behind. You are not unfinished. You are the silence after the question, the pause after the breath, the stillness after the seeking. This is where monks rest when they stop teaching. This is where students return when the lessons fade. This is where truth does not wear a name. And yet, you recognize it, because it feels like home. The first one, the last one, the only one that ever truly held you. You are not waiting for morning. You are not waiting for anything. Because in this mystery, everything is already here. No more walls, no more nets, no more boats, no more questions. Just this space, this peace, this gentle, infinite presence. You are not holding the mystery. You are the mystery being held, and you are safe, and you are whole, and you may let go. The last thought fades, the last word dissolves, the last shape of who you were slips into still water. And what remains is truth, unspoken, unchased, unmoved. The sound of one hand clapping was never a sound. It was the moment you stopped needing one. Sleep now, sink now. You are already everything. In a quiet temple where no footsteps echo, where silence hangs like smoke, there was a candle that never burned. It sat at the altar's edge, untouched, unlit, unmoved, and yet the monks said it gave light. Not light that warmed the hands, not light that chased the dark, but a light you could feel in your chest when all other lights had gone. Some called it a myth, others a symbol, but those who sat near it, long enough, still enough, said their burdens grew lighter. Not because the flame burned them away, but because the silence did. The candle's power was not in fire. It was in presence. Stillness. Being. It taught nothing. It explained nothing. It simply remained. And in its remaining, it reminded the monks of what they had forgotten, that you do not need to shine to be sacred. You do not need to glow to be good. You do not need to burn to bring peace. You only need to be. You, the one listening now, you have chased many flames. You have tried to become light, to do enough, to fix yourself into worthiness. But tonight, in this temple, there is no fire to feed. There is no glow to maintain. There is only the unlit candle, and you, and both, are already enough. Let that truth settle on your chest like ash that does not stain. Let it land, without explanation. You do not need to improve. You do not need to try. You do not need to carry one more task into your breath. You are here, you are still, and already you are divine. The monks never asked the candle to prove itself. They never struck a match to see if it would burn. They understood. The power was not in its flame. The power was in its refusal to need one. That kind of peace cannot be taught. It can only be felt in the presence of something that has nothing to prove. Tonight, you are that presence. Not the striving, not the becoming, just the being. Can you feel it? The quiet space behind your breath. The room that does not ask questions. The part of you that has always watched, never speaking, never forcing, only holding. That is the light that needs no flame. It shines not by pushing outward, but by drawing in, drawing inward, drawing you into yourself. Not the noisy self, not the building self, but the one that never left, the one that already knows, the one that waits in silence and offers no answers, only presence. Let that presence rise in you. Let it fill you the way light fills an empty bowl. Not fast, not bright, just full, just quiet, just whole. And in that fullness, you remember your existence is already the offering. Your stillness is already the prayer. And your breath, just as it is already sacred. The candle sits unlit and gives peace to those who look without needing. Now, let yourself become that candle. Still, unburning, whole. The light you carry does not flicker. It does not dance. It does not demand. It simply remains. You have burned for many things. For love, for understanding, for becoming something brighter. And each time, you believed you needed more fire, more proof that you were worthy of warmth, more glow to be seen, to be safe, to be good. But the candle at the altar never burned, and yet it was holy. And so are you. The monks would bow to it, not because of what it gave, but because of what it never needed to give. It was peace without performance, truth without sound, a presence so quiet it made the heart remember what it was before striving began. You have that in you. Now, here, without change, without flame. Let this be your permission. You may rest without result. You may stop without guilt. You may be still and still be radiant. The candle never tried to light the room, and yet the room was filled with silence so sacred it softened the bones. Your body feels that now, the dissolving of effort, the melting of weight into the floor beneath you. The world may ask for more, but your soul asks for less. Less doing, less proving, less becoming, and more being, more breath, more space where nothing needs to happen, for everything to be whole. You are not empty because you are still. You are still because you are full. The flame you searched for was never lost. It lived quietly beneath the surface, beneath the noise, beneath the stories of not enough. And now, as the mind softens, as the breath slows, you can feel it, not heat, but glow. Not light, but presence. Not a fire to burn with, but a stillness to rest in. That is your power. The power to be without need. The power to love without reaching. The power to shine without trying. The candle does not flicker, but it teaches, without words, without heat, only by being. And so do you. You do not need to speak. You do not need to wake. You do not need to rise with purpose to be sacred. You may sleep. You may drift. You may disappear into this silence and still be whole. You may burn without flame. That is what the monks learned. That is what the candle showed. And that is what your soul remembers now, beneath the thinking, beneath the wanting, beneath the last grasp for understanding. There is no need to grasp. There is no need to explain. Let the world move without you. Let the winds of becoming pass by as you return to what never moved. The altar remains. The candle remains. And so do you. Untouched, unlit, unshaken, and yet completely radiant. You are not what you show. You are not what you produce. You are not what others see. You are what stays when all else is gone. The breath, the silence, the space between the moments. And there you shine. Sleep now. Sink deeper. Let your light retreat into the place where it glows the most invisible and infinite. You are enough. You are whole. You are the candle that never needed fire to burn with truth. And this sacred stillness is your flame. It never left, and it never will. There was a man who lived in a prison. Not one built of stone, not one ruled by guards, but still a prison. Every day he walked the same path, woke to the same silence, ate from the same bowl, stared at the same gate, heavy, iron, closed. He tried to open it once, long ago, when he still believed he could be free. But the gate didn't move, not even a breath, so he gave up. He sat down inside himself and began the long life of waiting, waiting for a key, waiting for a change, waiting for someone or something to open what felt forever closed. And the years passed like soft wind in a room with no window, quiet, lonely, still. Until one night something shifted, not in the gate, not in the world, but in the man. He no longer felt like waiting, not with despair, but with stillness. He stood up, not from hope but from presence, and he walked to the gate one more time, not expecting, not pleading, just curious. And he touched it, and it moved. It creaked open like an old breath held too long. No lock, no key, no barrier, no trick. It had never been locked, not once. He laughed, he cried, he fell to his knees as the moonlight poured in through what he thought was a wall. The gate was always open. It was only the mind that was closed, only the memory of one failed moment that turned into a belief he never questioned again. And now, he was free. You are that man. Not in body, but in thought. In the quiet prison built not by bars, but by beliefs. Beliefs like, I can't change. I'm not ready. This is just how I am. It's too late now. And slowly, those thoughts became bricks. And those bricks became walls. Until you stopped trying. Not because you are weak, but because your heart grew tired of hitting metal. But tonight, you return. Not to fight, not to prove, but to see, to feel the truth beneath the story, that you were never trapped. You were only believing the memory of being stuck. But what if you tried again, not with force, not with fury, but with breath, with the same breath you carry now, the breath that does not ask permission, the breath that has always moved through gates, through fear, through night. You are already standing at the gate. It has never left. It is waiting without lock, without resistance. It waits for your touch, not to fight it, but to remember what freedom feels like. Can you feel it now? The space opening not ahead of you, but within? The dissolving of the story that said you couldn't, the crumbling of the thought that said you must wait to be free. The gate is a mirror. It shows you that all this time, it was never the world that held you in. It was only the mind that forgot its own open hands, and now, those hands are here again, gently, softly. On the handle, the night is still, the path is clear, and you are allowed to step through, not into something new, but into the truth that was always yours. You do not need to run. There is no one chasing. You do not need to earn this. There is no judge at the gate. You do not even need to understand. Freedom doesn't ask for logic. It only asks for your presence. And so you step, not forward, but inward. Not into something new, but into what has always waited, without door, without name, without condition. You walk through the open gate, and nothing explodes. Nothing announces your passage. The grass still whispers, the sky still watches, the breath still rises and falls. But something inside you softens, unknots, stops bracing, because the bars were never real, and the holding was never required. The mind had built walls out of fear, but fear has no nails. It cannot hold what no longer agrees to stay small. So now, you expand, wordlessly, effortlessly. The old limits do not fall, they dissolve, like a mist that once seemed like stone before morning touched it. And your breath, it stretches wider, not deeper, not louder, just freer, like wind that has forgotten how to hide. This is what truth feels like, when it's not wrapped in story. This is what peace feels like, when it isn't something you chase. You were never locked in. You simply forgot you had legs that could move, hands that could open, a spirit that could say yes to the unknown. And now you say yes, not with words, but with your exhale, with your weight softening, with your body no longer asking permission to rest. The world does not change when you walk through the gate. You do. You stop needing a reason to be free. You stop waiting for someone to tell you that you can. You stop believing that pain makes you unworthy. You stop making homes out of cages. And in that stopping, a great returning to sky, to stillness, to self. The version of you that lived in the prison was never wrong. They were doing what they thought was safe, but you are allowed to leave them gently. You are allowed to walk on with love, not shame. Let your past self rest now. Let them sleep in the room where you once waited. You do not need to carry them. They were the seed. You are the tree. And the tree was always growing toward this, the open air, the open path, the open moment where you no longer ask if you deserve peace. You simply receive it. Now feel it. The silence that no longer feels empty. The breath that no longer feels controlled. The body that no longer feels caged by its own story. This is not escape. This is remembrance. That you are not a prisoner. You are presence. And presence is never trapped. Even in small rooms. Even in old beliefs. Even in sorrow and confusion and stillness. Presence remains untouched. It does not knock. It does not force. It waits. Like the gate already open. Already ready. You are not walking into something greater. You are walking out of something smaller. And that is freedom. Not the loud kind. Not the kind that needs to shout. But the kind that closes its eyes, sighs without fear, and sleeps in the arms of boundlessness. Because there is no edge now. No corner. No end. Just the quiet knowing. You are never really stuck. You are only sacred. And sacred things take time to remember themselves. Tonight, you have remembered. You can sleep not as someone escaping, but as someone returned to the breath that never left, to the gate that never locked, to the peace that never demanded anything but presence. You are free now, not because you fought, but because you stopped fighting. And the world in its silent wisdom welcomed you back home. There was a student who carried many books, scriptures, sutras, scrolls of wisdom, worn soft by reverent hands. He studied them each day kneeling at dawn, copying passages until his fingers ached. He believed the words would save him, that each line was a key, that each verse would unlock a deeper silence, and in time, he could recite them all, every chant, every truth. But still, he could not sleep. His mind repeated the teachings like a song he could not stop humming. His breath followed doctrines more than rhythm. His spirit bowed to meanings more than presence. And one night, as he knelt beside the fire, his master approached, old, barefoot, eyes like the sky after rain. Without a word, the master reached into the student's satchel, pulled out the scriptures and dropped them into the flames. The fire rose. The student gasped, "But those were the teachings," he cried. "They were sacred." The master only smiled and whispered, "Were." The student trembled. His lips moved to recite something, anything, but no words came, only silence. And in that silence, something broke. Something soft. Not a loss. A loosening. The mind unclenched. The breath deepened. The world stopped being made of verses and became itself again. A breeze moved through the trees, not a metaphor, just wind. A bird cried out, not a symbol, just sound. And the student wept, not from grief but from release. He had confused the map for the mountain. He had memorized the recipe and forgotten how to taste. He had carried truth like weight instead of water, and now it flowed again. You may have carried scriptures too, not in parchment, but in identity, in belief, in the sacred labels you gave yourself. I must heal. I must awaken. I must live with purpose. I must do it right. Even these can become cages. Even the light can become blinding if stared at too long. Even truth can become heavy when held too tightly. And you have held much, with reverence, with effort, with longing. But tonight, as the night deepens, you are allowed to set it all down. Even the beautiful, even the sacred. Let it burn like the Master's scriptures. Let it rise into smoke that feeds the stars. You do not need the words to hold the truth. You are the truth. And the truth asks only to be lived. Not quoted, not proved, not polished. Lived, in silence, in stillness, in sleep. Like the breath that teaches nothing but carries everything. Like the sky that says nothing but holds it all. Let go now of needing to name your awakening, of needing to track your progress, of needing to be anything other than this breath, this body, this silence that holds you like the final line of a song you no longer need to sing. The scriptures were gone, ash on the wind, nothing left to study. nothing left to recite. And in their absence, truth finally entered, not as a teaching, but as a breath, a soft, living breath that asked nothing but to be noticed. The student did not become less. He became real, no longer walking like a student, no longer speaking like a seeker, no longer chasing the next sacred thing. He simply sat, and the world sat with him. You are invited now to do the same. Let go of the image of who you thought you were meant to become. The healer, the wise one, the strong one, the enlightened one. These names were once helpful, until they weren't, until they became expectations you wore like robes, too heavy for your shoulders. But peace is not a role. It is what remains when the role falls away. You do not need a label to be whole. You do not need a path to reach the place you've never left. Right now, beneath the thoughts, beneath the goals, beneath the sacred striving, you are here, still, whole, free, like the candle that burned without flame, like the gate that was never locked, like the boat that held no blame, like the ocean that was never just a wave. You are not the title you once carried. You are not the language you memorized to sound more awake. You are not the collection of right decisions. You are something softer, something deeper, something that cannot be named because it came before names, and that is sacred. The monks used to say, when the path becomes clear, it disappears, because it was never a path. It was only this moment, this breath, this sitting, this sleep that welcomes you without proof of worth. You have nothing left to prove, no insight left to perform, no lesson left to earn, and what's left is enough. Just your heart beating, just your lungs moving, just your soul resting. Can you feel how light it becomes when you stop trying to be light? How free it feels when you no longer seek freedom? This is where truth waits. Not in the scriptures, but in the fire that releases them. Not in the form, but in the formlessness that follows. You do not betray your practice by letting go. You honor it by becoming it, by being what the words pointed to all along. Silence, stillness, presence without performance. Let it hold you now, not like an answer, but like a sky. Not like a conclusion, but like a gentle wind through the trees that need no reason to sway. You do not need to call yourself spiritual to be spirit. You do not need to call yourself peaceful to feel peace. You do not need to name your awakening for it to awaken you. It already has. Not in thunder, not in flames, but in the soft way your shoulders drop when no one is watching. In the holy hush that enters the room when you finally stop trying. In the way you let go, even of letting go. So rest now. You have no scriptures to guard, no teachings to prove, no roles to remember. Only this. You are the silence after the last verse. You are the truth after the story ends. You are the peace that existed before anyone named it. Let yourself sleep in that peace. Let yourself be without becoming. Let yourself dissolve into the formless truth that whispers, even this is sacred. There was once a little pond hidden deep in the woods. No path led to it. No footprints disturbed its edge. Only the wind and the sky ever touched it. And at night, when the world stilled, the moon came to rest upon its surface. Perfect, whole, unmoving. The moon never asked to be seen. It simply offered its reflection soft and silent to the water that listened. And the pond, in stillness, held it. But one night, a traveler wandered near, weary, searching, longing for something beautiful to keep. And when he saw the moon resting so gently in the pond, his heart ached. He had never seen anything so pure. So, he reached for it. His hand entered the water. The surface broke, and the moon disappeared. Ripples moved through the pond like questions with no answer. He waited, hoping it would return, that the stillness would come back, that the beauty would let him hold it just once. But the water remained trembling, and the moon, though still in the sky, was no longer in his hands. You too may have tried to hold beauty, not the beauty of objects, but the beauty of peace, moments of calm, flashes of joy, those sacred seconds when life made sense. And your heart, so human, so full, reached out hoping to make it stay, hoping to bottle what was meant to pass, but like the moon in the water, Truth is not something you can grasp. It arrives when you're still, and leaves when you chase it. Not as punishment, but as teaching. The still pond does not cry when the moon disappears. It knows the moon never left. It only waits for stillness to return. So tonight, you are not asked to reach. Not for clarity, not for peace, not for answers. You are asked to become the pond, to let your surface settle, to let the wind inside you fall silent, and then what you long for will appear, not because you forced it, but because you became the space where it can be seen. You cannot hold peace, but you can become its reflection. You cannot hold the moon, but you can lie beneath it with open hands and closed eyes, and a heart that finally stops grasping. This is the way of all sacred things. They arrive when the self dissolves, when the ripples end, when the water remembers how to be water. There is nothing you must do, nothing you must solve. Only this: let go of reaching, let go of naming, let go of the mind that wants to possess what was only ever meant to bless. Let your breath fall gently. Let your chest rise like the surface of that quiet pond. And trust the moon is still there. You do not need to see it to be touched by its light. It rests even now above you, in you, as you, not because you held it, but because you surrendered. You are not here to possess the moon. You are here to be illuminated by it, to lie still as its silver breath touches your skin without asking anything in return. Let the need to keep soften in your chest. Let the hunger to capture become a quiet ache that you no longer follow. Even beauty is not meant to stay. Even peace moves like wind through a curtain that never tries to close. The traveler at the pond never stopped looking upward after that night. He learned to sit by the edge, hands in his lap, watching but never touching. And over time his heart became as still as the water, and the moon, seeing no ripples, rested with him again and again, not because he held it, but because he stopped trying to. This is how truth returns, not through effort, but through allowing, not by holding tighter, but by loosening everything. You were never meant to trap the sacred in a jar. You were meant to become so soft, so open, so still, that the sacred finds you and stays a while, not forever, but long enough to leave its glow inside your breath. Let yourself become the quiet lake. Let the moon visit as it wishes. Let the mystery pass through you without fear of loss. Because nothing real can ever be lost. It only changes form. The moon becomes light. The light becomes breath. The breath becomes you. And you become something holy, without needing to hold a single thing. Grasping is what shakes the water. Wanting is what makes the image disappear. But rest is the stillness that invites it back. Can you feel it now? The moment that asks nothing, the moment that lives fully without a name. This is not the joy you chase. This is the joy that arrives when the chase ends. It does not sparkle. It does not shout. It sits beside you like a friend who asks only to be witnessed. The moon does not resent your inability to hold it. It is content to simply be what it is. You can be like that too. Nothing to prove, nothing to grasp, nothing to become, only this. A presence so still that beauty cannot help but reflect itself within you. You do not need to hold on to the moment. The moment holds you. You do not need to preserve what is passing. The passing itself is the gift. You do not need to understand, or protect, or explain. You only need to trust what remains when you stop reaching. Breathe now like the pond. Sleep now like the traveler who finally stopped trying to keep what was never his to begin with. You were never asked to hold the moon, only to see it, only to feel it, only to become the kind of stillness it rests upon. Let that be enough. Let the ripples settle. Let the reaching fade. Let the mystery remain. And in its silence you'll find you were never separate. You are not the one watching the reflection. You are the reflection. You are the moonlight that cannot be held, only known in stillness. Sleep now in that knowing. Drift without clutching. Let go without falling. Because there is nothing beneath you but truth. And truth, like the moon, never leaves. Even when you stop looking. There once was a student who had studied everything. He knew the scriptures. He recited every teaching with reverence. He sat long hours in meditation. memorizing every breath as if peace were hidden in perfect posture. He spoke of truth like it was a place, a destination, a door that one might open if only the right words were spoken first. And still, his heart ached. There was something missing, a gap, a silence he couldn't fill. So he traveled far to seek a master known not for his words, but for his presence. He arrived at the monastery and bowed deeply. Then he asked, "Please, tell me the truth. I've searched everywhere. I've read, I've prayed, I've waited, but I still feel lost. Tell me what I'm missing." The master looked at him and said nothing. Not a word, not a teaching, not a chant, not even a gesture, just silence. The student waited and waited and waited. He asked again, his voice trembling now, "Please, I'm ready. I've given everything. I just need to know." Still no answer. The master turned, walked to the garden, and began sweeping the earth with a handmade broom. And the wind moved through the trees, and the birds called out across the sky, and the bells in the distance rang for no one. And the student felt something begin to fall apart inside him, not from pain, not from confusion, but from stillness so deep it could no longer be avoided. And in that space, without being told, he saw that his need for an answer was the very thing that obscured the truth. He saw that truth was never hidden, only drowned in words, only veiled by striving. The silence was not empty. It was full of what cannot be said, full of what has always been, full of what was waiting for him to stop asking. And he wept, not because he failed, but because for the first time he stopped trying to succeed. You may be that student. You may have searched, studied, chanted, prayed. You may have carried the hunger for truth like a flame that never rests, and that flame has burned beautifully. But tonight, you are invited to set it down. You are invited into the same silence the Master offered, the same silence that does not answer but reveals. The truth you long for cannot be spoken, not because it is hidden, but because it is too close to speak about. It is here not in language, but in presence, not in effort, but in surrender, not in the mind, but in the moment between thoughts, between breaths. Let yourself rest there now. Let the questions dissolve. Let the seeking soften. Let the ache to be filled empty itself. You are not missing anything. You are simply remembering that nothing needs to be found. And in that remembering, the truth begins to shine. The student sat, no longer waiting for the master to speak, no longer chasing answers through the dust of old prayers. He simply watched the sweeping, the wind, the breath. His own heart beat slower now, softer now, and something opened. Not a door, not a teaching, but a space. A space where nothing was missing. A space so quiet, even thought dared not enter. And in that space, the truth arrived. Not in words, not in light, but in the sound of everything stopping. No identity to protect, no wisdom to perform, no self to defend, only silence. And in that silence, everything that ever mattered returned home. You are not here to understand. You are here to be still. Not to collect teachings like stones in a bowl, but to become the bowl itself, empty, ready, unresisting. Let this night be your silence. Let this breath be the Master's broom. Let this moment sweep you clean of every need to reach beyond what is. The truth does not visit those who speak the most. It visits those who have become quiet enough to listen without ears, to see without eyes, to rest without needing a reason. Let your seeking stop here. Not because it failed, but because it brought you to the edge of something words cannot cross. You are not far. You are not lost. You are simply standing at the doorway of yourself. And this silence, this space that cannot be grasped, is where truth waits, not as a teacher, not as a reward, but as your own reflection beneath all the ripples. Do not disturb the water. Do not try to name the moon. Do not ask this moment to explain itself. Let it be. Let it hold you. Let it show you that everything you were looking for was already inside. Even now, as your eyes begin to close, as your body melts into the cradle of the dark, the Master's silence continues. Still sweeping, still present, still saying nothing and meaning everything. Because the truth you wanted was never a sentence. It was this: the breath that returns you, the stillness that holds you, the letting go that frees you from needing to become anything other than here. You are not a student tonight. You are not a seeker. You are not a name with history and hope. You are silence made warm. You are breath without effort. You are peace that no longer asks to be proved. Sleep in that. Sleep as that. Sleep as the Master's answer that needed no voice. Because what is true never needed to be said. It only needed to be seen. And now you see it. Even with your eyes closed. Even as your mind drifts. Even as your breath softens into the great stillness from which all things arise. This is not the end. This is not the beginning. This is what remains when all else falls away. This is the Master's silence. And it is yours now. Forever. The stories are complete. The teachings have ended. The path you walked no longer stretches forward, because there is nowhere left to go, and nothing more to become. All that was heavy has been spoken. All that was hidden has been seen. All that was held has been wept into light. There is nothing left to fix. There never was. You were never broken. Only tired. Only layered in names that were not your own. Only made of stories that time forgot to erase. But not tonight. Tonight, you are returned to the place beneath the path. The truth beneath the words. The stillness that came before the journey ever began. Let your body soften now. Let it dissolve into something ancient. Not old in years, but old like the mountain, like the sky, like the part of you that never moved, never changed, never left. Let the breath do nothing now. Let it flow, without needing to help. Let it become the wind that no longer carries meaning. You do not need to understand. You do not need to remember what was said. The stories were never meant to be kept, only felt, only walked through like incense rising and vanishing all at once. The monk has told you everything you already knew but forgot. The candle lit itself. The gate never locked. The moon did not need your hand. The wave was always the sea. And now, you are ready to stop listening. Not because the teachings are over, but because they have done their work. They have pointed. They have bowed. And now, they leave you here alone with the only truth that ever mattered. You are not the one who searched. You are not the one who cried. You are not even the one who healed. You are what watched the searching. You are what stayed when the tears stopped. You are what breathed before the breath even began. This is not a farewell. There is no such thing in the place where you now rest. This is a dissolving of borders, of identity, of effort. Let even your name float away. Let even your desire to awaken fall from your hands like petals from a flower that has bloomed too long. You are not late. You are not early. You are not progressing. You are not behind. You are now. And now needs no fixing. Sleep in that. Not like escape, but like return. The softest return. The kind that forgets there was ever anything to come back to. And as you lie there, folded into stillness, you may notice something. No story can follow you here. Not the stories of pain, not the stories of growth, not even the beautiful stories you love too much to release. All dissolve at the gate of silence. And that silence welcomes you home, without asking for anything in return. No more seeking, no more shaping, no more sound. Only this breath, only this night, only this moment, without a name. Let the body fade. Let the thoughts untie themselves, like boats drifting from their moorings into the wide sea of no thought. Let even the breath become mist. Let even the silence become soundless. You have nothing left to do, and that is the blessing. There is no higher mountain, no deeper scripture, no secret path hidden from your eyes. The Master's silence was the final teaching, and now your silence is the final truth. You are not the one who suffered. You are the stillness who watched the flame flicker but did not burn. You are the space behind every story, the watcher behind every mask, the breath behind every name. And now you can release it all, even the beautiful names, even the sacred striving, even the quiet hope that whispered, almost there, because there is no there, only here, only now, only this. The candle is out, the temple is dark, but still, you are bathed in light, not from outside, not from above, but from within where the flame was never a fire but a knowing. And that knowing says, you are safe, you are whole, you are held. Let the final veil fall. Let the last question never be asked. Let the self dissolve into the quiet that no longer needs a reason to exist. And in that quiet, you may hear the voice beneath all voices, the whisper of the monk you met in every story. He speaks now, not with words, but with presence. And if your heart listens, it may receive his final blessing. A whisper so soft it feels like sleep. A truth so clear it cannot be spoken. A gift so sacred it cannot be kept. Only received, only remembered, only breathed. And this is what he says. Sleep now. You are not the one who suffered. You are the stillness behind the flame. Nothing more, because nothing more is needed. Let the bell remain unrung. Let the prayer stay silent. Let the night have the last word. And let that word be no word at all. Only peace. Only return. Only the quiet glow of the soul no longer seeking. Sleep now. And do not wake as the one who searched. Wake only if you must, as the one who never left. And if you do not wake, let that too be a kind of blessing. Because here, in the temple beyond sound, the truth does not speak. It rests, as you do now, in silence, in light, in the stillness that was always yours.